Spot ETFs are the worst thing to ever happen to Bitcoin. The only thing good about it is going to be the short-term gratification. This is the last chance that retailers have to make life-changing wealth. I truly believe that in crypto. Before regulation and the underlying ethos and everything about crypto that we were fighting for is completely destroyed. Now, I want you to watch this video with an open mind. Because while I'm about to flood you with a ton of information, as it turns out, Jeffrey Epstein has ties to the largest Bitcoin mining pool in the world. But this video has nothing to do with the price action of Bitcoin, just what an ETF actually means and why it is the death of self-sovereignty in crypto. This is all going to come down to the mining pool in Bitcoin, which currently right now is seeing an all-time high in hash rates. But as it turns out, as reported by MSN, that 5 Bitcoin mining pools dominated 2023 with 84%, guys, not 50%, 84% of all of the total block. For you guys that don't know what that means is the concentration of all of the Bitcoin that is being mined, all of the transactions that are taking place are being verified and ran through only 5 different companies. Foundry USA, Antpool, Via Bitcoin, F2 Pool, and Binance are going to be the top 5 players here. Why I believe this matters is because we're about to launch what I believe is going to be the next largest financial product to ever exist since the gold-based ETF that was launched in 2004 November that was manipulated massively with the precious metals market by companies like JP Morgan. Which means I believe the public should be aware of and understand who controls the entire network. So starting with number 1, Foundry USA, which makes up 32%. Foundry Digital is located in Rochester, New York, the United States, and is a sub-organization of the Digital Currency Group. DCG owns them. Now, I believe that's a huge problem because Digital Currency Group was built by and advised by people like Larry Summers, who is now on the board of OpenAI. Now, Larry Summers is up there with people like Henry Kissinger. He's a true piece of shit. For you guys that don't know, Larry Summers served both as the United States Secretary of Treasury from 1999 to 2001 under Clinton, but also as the National Economic Council Director in 2009 to 2010 under Obama, and he also served as president of Harvard University from 2001 to 2006. Most recently, again, he just joined in November 2023 the board of directors for the intelligence company OpenAI. Wow, sounds like he must be really good at his job. Nah, the Clintons and the Bushes and Obamas, they're just massively corrupted. And this is actually the dude that was relentless and successfully advocated for the deregulation of the entire financial industry. He lobbied for the repeal of Glass-Steagall and actually won. This is what allowed and led up to the 2008 financial crisis, but he lobbied against regulating derivatives and won. One of his crowning achievements in the Clinton administration was the Commodities Futures Moderation Act of 2000, which essentially legalized gambling in derivatives. It literally preempted state gaming laws, and he has never actually apologized for any of this. He's ruined dozens, if not hundreds, of millions of Americans' lives. And this guy pretty much just has deep state political ties with globalist leaders, and that's why he is joining boards like OpenAI, because it's going to allow them to progress towards lobby. This guy literally was the lobbyist for all the big banks, Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan. He was the one that allowed him to manipulate markets and just completely fuck over retail, resulting in the 2008-08 financial crisis. And now he's going to do the same exact thing with OpenAI. Artificial intelligence, deep fakes, guys, it is going to get worse. It's going to get crazy by 2025. Probably everything you're reading and consuming on the internet through major news outlets, mainstream media, is going to be all through a ChatGPT or a software or a language model that was lobbied for by this guy and controlled by big tech because of this guy. Now, this same guy has had multiple dinners with, of course, Jeffrey so-and-so here, and moving screens with Woody Allen, who, while his time at Harvard, raised money through this guy himself. Oh, look, what good friends. Holy shit, I swear I just found this connection live, but in the video I just made before this about Bloomberg, Michael Bloomberg, and all of his corruption with, of course, Reid Hoffman and what they're doing through investment arms that they're probably just going to be inside trading and getting government contracts. Through Greylock, he's the co-founder of LinkedIn, was also visiting Epstein and among all of this group. And he just raised $1 billion to invest into early startups, specifically in AI-first companies. Yeah, that guy who's in the same planes, in the same crowds with Epstein in the same files, who was working closely with Jeff, obviously Summers, Lawrence Summers, who is now on OpenAI's board, who's going to be lobbying for those policies. Oh, well, here's your freaking connection. He's friends with this dude who works closely with Mike Bloomberg on the Defense Innovation Board that advises directly to the Pentagon on all of the national security issues and how they should advance towards artificial intelligence and government contracts for military with AI. But no, today's top article, well, it's unironically a part of Harvard. Harvard has just a ton of issues with corruption and ties, is obviously the plagiarism from their previous president, or just a distraction. Anyways, all of that fuckery is what's tied to DCG for 6 years, mind you, and are the ones behind the largest mempool provider in the United States, which means all the transactions, all the Bitcoin transactions, all of it that's being mined, that goes through their service, goes through their network, all their blocks that they're transacting, they're selling that off to data and analytic providers, which are probably going to be working close with the DARPA, etc., to just monitor all of these transactions. Yes, it's all public information. OSINT. Open Source Intelligence, OSINT, is the collection, analysis, and dissemination of information that is publicly available and legally available, and isn't supposed to invade public privacy. Anyways, that's mempool provider 1. Next up, you got Antpool via an F2 pool. Antpool is owned by Bitmain Technologies, which is a Chinese-based company headquarters in Beijing, and also pretty much build all of the hardware and technology for pretty much every Bitcoin miner. Do with that information as you will. You have F2 pool that's up next, and of course are located also in Beijing, China. And they've been just most recently caught censoring transactions. After a blockchain sleuth reported that Bitcoin mining pool may have censored a transaction from an address blacklisted by US authorities, yeah, they confirmed that they were doing that for the United States intelligence. And lastly, you got Via Bitcoin, which is also in China. So this means Bitcoin specifically. We talk about Bitcoin and spot ETFs. Bitcoin, the mining, the centralizations controlled by one major company of 32%, which was DCG owned, which of course has the ties to Epstein and Larry Summers and all of that corruption. The guy that caused the last financial crisis. Then the next 3 companies are going to be Chinese-based that are censoring transactions, working with what we can see, at least in some cases, United States intelligence companies, if not the US government themselves. And I don't even have enough time, but we can go into pig butchering, we can go into Lazarus groups, we can go into all the hackers, we can go into all of the digital yuan and the connections to the Bitcoin with Hezbollah and Iran and of course the Hamas and all the donations for terrorist activities and illicit activities that are taking place that Bitcoin maxis definitely just want to fucking ignore. Because, oh, illicit activities happen with cash. Yes, it happens with cash. But when we launch a spot Bitcoin ETF, we are now going to be giving that control. And not only is the network already controlled by pretty much 5 companies, we're going to be just giving it all right back to the same bankers and the banking giants that we were trying to escape in the first place. We shouldn't have government-funded products. Like, these are literally lobbied products by the private sector in big tech that the government is going to be regulating for these big tech firms that all work collectively as one together. They are all fighting against the retailers, guys. This isn't going to be good for me or you in 3 to 5 years. Again, I am absolutely bullish on crypto. I think we're going to make disgusting amount of money this bull run. I'm just being real with you guys and saying this is the next progression from a globalist perspective to have a complete transparent network that they control and can monitor a public blockchain. Every single transaction will be tracked. Every single on-ramp and off-ramp will be controlled. There is no evidence that suggests that this isn't going to happen because it is happening. I mean, I have source after source after source after source. So overall, there's 2 main takeaways from this. One is that it makes me believe in ETFs definitely not going to pass within the next 10 days because the United States is going to want more control over this. The SEC and DOJ and all these 3-letter agencies all collectively work together. And DCG with Lawrence Summers is facing a lot of scrutiny right now. That's why he stepped down for the board. They're going absolutely bankrupt, which pretty much leaves not only Antpool on the line Foundry USA on the line to be bought over or taken over by other foreign investors, but we are looking at another 3 companies that are all Chinese based. And there's a lot of questions from DARPA, Congress, and all these 3-letter agencies requesting more bills and advocating for more clarity and regulatory advancement. But that does more than likely mean that we're going to see more regulatory constraints over the retailers to make sure that they can monitor those transactions, meeting AML, meeting KYC, etc. Second takeaway is that this is incredibly bullish. I do fundamentally believe an ETF is going to pass because the government in the first place, you have 2 parties, guys. It's not red versus blue. It's not Democrat versus Republican. It's nationalist versus globalist, okay? And the agenda here with 2030, with the World Economic Forum, with the World Bank, with the WHO, with the NIH, whatever 3-letter agency you want to talk about, is to progress towards digitalization. This is the digital revolution. We're no longer in the industrial. This is the digital revolution. And with AI and public on-chain information, you're going to see a break away from cash and transactions all done digitally because they're way more easy to monitor from a government agency. Now, of course, do your own research. I believe that's the reality of the situation, though. This is bullish. Let's take advantage of the opportunity. And be sure to share and save this video. Let me know in the comments. Like, do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I crazy? Because I feel like this needs to be talked about more.